Good morning, my friends. Welcome to this special episode of Kevin at 7. If you are new and just joining us, today is Tactical Tuesday, where we talk about a real estate tactic that will help you put more points on the scoreboard and more dollars in your bank account for your real estate business. And today we're going to talk about how to start every listing presentation, because most agents don't know when to start it. They don't know how to start it. And because of that, you waste a lot of time. And so we're talking today about how to waste a lot of time, how to not waste time by going on a listing appointment you should not be going on. All right. How do you start every listing presentation? So good morning, my friends. Welcome from OKC. I saw Matt. Good morning, Matt. Raw from North San Diego County. As you come on, make sure you post where you are in the world today on Facebook. Gwendolyn, good morning. As you come on, tell us where you are. Bonnie from Port Charlotte. Victoria from Savannah. Tanika, good morning from Tanika. Tell everybody where you're from. Hey, Eric from Salt Lake City. Good to see you. All right. As you come on, tell everybody where you're from. Robbie from Redmond, Washington. Jody, what part of Utah are you in, Jody? Simon from Buena Park, California. Good morning. Hey, Lisa from Destin, Florida. Somebody, who's from Lake Coeur d'Alene? I love that. Kimber, morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Dean from Eureka, California. David from Cedar City, Utah. Awesome. Hey, Pam from Pensacola. Jody from Midvale. Jody from Midvale. That's Midvale, Utah. Love it. All right. So if you don't have a copy, you don't have your copy of the Book of Yes yet, go to thebookofyes.com, thebookofyes.com, and get your free copy of the Book of Yes. You just cover the shipping, and we will ship this book to you anywhere in North America, the Book of Yes. So, because we're going to talk about it today. How do you start every listing presentation? Yes, I was talking to an agent yesterday. And good morning, Gwendolyn from South Jersey. Raj from Toronto. Good to see you guys. I was talking to an agent yesterday, and they had gone on 14 listing appointments in the first quarter of 2019. Okay, 14, which is good. I'm like, yeah. How many listings they taken? 5. So they're basically missing nearly 70%, nearly over 60% of their listing opportunities. So they're going on 14 and taking 5 listings. So that means 9 out of 14 listing appointments, they did not get the listing. And so I'm like, why are we not getting a listing here? So here's the deal. The number one reason agents don't get a listing when they go on a listing appointment is because you start the listing appointment wrong. When you start a listing appointment wrong, it's going to always be wrong. Okay. Your chances of getting a good outcome when you start it wrong are high. And so in this case, this agent was starting the appointment wrong. And when they started wrong, they were not getting results. They were not getting the listing. Okay. Now you've heard that it's all about the close, right? It's all about how you close them hard. No. When you get a listing, is in the way you start. 90% of getting a listing, listen to me carefully here. 90% of getting a listing is how you start it. Okay, it's how you start it. That's 90% of getting a listing. Would you guys like to know how to start a listing how to start your listing presentation to increase your chances dramatically of getting a listing? If you would, can I see some thumbs up? Can I see some please? Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, without the BS. Okay. Here's how you do it. It's in here. So get this. If you don't have a copy of this, you need the Book of Yes, because this is the best listing scripts on the planet. And it's the only one you'll ever need. The only listing presentation you'll ever need is in here. Now, here is the mistake. If you have a Book of Yes and you open it up, it says right here, the listing presentation scripts, okay? But that's not the secret. It is a powerful secret, but it's not the secret for where you're gonna get 90% of your listings. It's right before the listing presentation scripts. And it's right here. It is in what we call the seller sheet, your pre-qualifying script. Write this down. If you're taking notes, you should be taking notes. This is Tactical Tuesday. The listing presentation, your listing presentation begins before you show up at the house. It actually begins with the pre-qualifying conversation. It begins as soon as you set the appointment, and you are now pre-qualifying the appointment. Now, once you get the book of Yes, there is a link inside the book where you can get the bonus download of the scripts here that are in this book, these scripts, including this, where it's in it's a single page. So you have one page, okay? For my coaching members, we've updated the seller, the pre-qualifying script. For those of you that come to my events or in coaching, we've updated it because of things that are changing. However, what here is in the book of Yes is still going to get you what you need, okay? So seller pre-qualifying script, that's when the listing presentation actually starts. Because when you set an appointment with somebody, you know they're thinking about moving. You set an appointment with them to go out and list their house. Well, how do you know? How do you know that they're realistic on price? How do you know they're not wasting your time because they're going to do it for sell by owner? How do you know they don't have a bunch of they're talking to another agent, or a bunch of other agents already have someone in mind and they just want a second opinion? How do you know they're ready to move now and not 6 months from now? You don't know that unless you pre-qualify them. What if they can't get the money they want out of the house? What if the house is not worth as much as they think it's worth? Then what? All right. So this is all found in the pre-qualifying. So once you set an appointment, if you're going a lot of appointments and not getting a listing, a lot of times it's because they're unrealistic, have unrealistic expectations, or they're just not ready to move yet. How do you find out about that? In the pre-qualifying. So number one, it's when I find out if I have a seller that's actually moving. Because how many of you want to take listings when the seller is not moving? Now, this is an important question. Do you want to take no, Jody, you don't need to nurture a for sale by owner lead. You set an appointment with a for sale by owner lead. Okay? You set an appointment with them and go list their house. That's just a high level skill, Jody. See, here's the deal. When you're pre-qualifying, a for sale by owner doesn't think they're ready to list. And the reason is because they think you are an expense, when the reality is you're not an expense. The reality is, just like my accountant costs me thousands of dollars a year. We pay thousands of dollars a year to our accountant. Okay, we pay it more thousands of dollars a year for our bookkeeper. Okay, well, I could do all that myself. See, but I know that if I do my own taxes, because I've done my own taxes before, is I lose a ton of money. My accountant saves me so much money that I don't have to pay to Uncle Sam, because he understands tax code and tax law. So he is a professional and he is an investment. So he actually saves me time and saves me money, keeps money in my pocket. A good real estate agent takes it for sale by owner, saves them time and saves them money. You help them keep more money in their pocket. And they don't believe that because most of the real estate agents out there are amateurs who don't know how to do that. That's why I train at FX Extreme Training Camp. So I'll throw this in here. If you do not have a ticket yet for FX Extreme Training Camp, go to thefxextreme.com/live 2019 and get your ticket, June 19th through the 21st. Okay, this is where you will learn how to get for sale by owners out of the nurturing pot. Because when you're nurturing, guys, for those of you that believe in this idea of nurturing for sale by owners, I loved agents, and this is what we were taught. You're going to have to talk to a for sale by owner 7 times on average before you're going to get an appointment. And I loved that, because I was going to talk to them on average 1 or 2 times. And then I was going to get the appointment and go list their house, because I believed that I could help them get a better result than they could get by themselves. Well, I could sell my house myself. I don't need an agent. I've done it 7 times before. I know. Can you imagine how much money you've lost? What? Well, if I could help you, there's no question you can sell a house yourself, Mr. For sale by owner. But if I could help you get more money in your pocket, protect your equity, get you more cash in the bank at the end, would that matter to you? Well, how are you going to do that? Well, that's what I do. So when we get together, we'll go over exactly how we make that happen. What would be the best time for us to get together? I could come out tomorrow at 4:15, or would Thursday at 2:15 be better? And then I go out and I help them. And then once I set that appointment, now I'm going to pre-qualify them. Now the listing appointment starts. Okay, so go to thefxextreme.com/live 2019, get your ticket, come learn how to do that. So, or try to figure it out yourself and stay broke for the next 3 years. Either way. soon as I set the appointment, what's the next thing I'm going to do? Right here. Okay. So before I come out, I need to get a little more information from you so I can do my homework. That's how the seller sheet starts. That's the pre-qualifying conversation. That is the beginning of the listing presentation. Because at that moment, number one, I am now vetting them to see if I can help them. And number two, they are now vetting you to see if they trust you. Are you competent? Do you sound like you know what you're doing? Or are you scared and trying to figure things out? So you set the appointment. Great. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 4:15. Before I come out, Mr. Seller, I need to get a little more information from you so I can do my homework. You have a couple of minutes. Okay. And that's how it starts. And then you ask them the questions in the seller sheet, in the pre-qualifying conversation. And you ask all of the questions. The key is that you do it exactly the way it's told you to do it in the book. So when you get to the book, and this is the short version, but right here in the pre-qualifying notes, it tells you exactly how to do it on the next page. And if you go back to the beginning, it also talks about in the book, chapter 10, 9 keys to more powerful conversations. You have to master these 9 keys. Okay. And the book lays them out for you. So if you don't have a copy of the Book of Yes, get your copy today. If you have a copy, can I see who's got a copy? Just type in hashtag I am a Yes Master if you already have your Book of Yes. Now, here is where a lot of agents make mistakes because they think, oh, okay, I got it. Now I'm going to make it up on my own. And so instead of saying, hey, before I come out, I need to get a little more information from you so I can do my homework. They say, hey, before I come out, I need to ask you a few questions, or I have a few questions for you. The moment you tell somebody, all right, thank you guys for all that. I am a Yes Masters. Love that. The moment you say, I need to ask you a few questions, or I need to ask you some questions, or I have some questions for you. The moment you say that, it just went from a conversation to an interrogation. It's a resistance trigger. Because whenever somebody says, I need to ask you a few questions, immediately their brain goes like, wait, are you the FBI? Immediately they think that's what it sounds like when you're sitting down for a deposition. That's when you're being interrogated. I need to ask you a few questions. So don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. I used to hear agents say it all the time. I need to ask you a few questions. What? That's probably what I was taught to say. I don't know. I don't remember what I was taught to say. But I realized real quick that when you say I need to ask you a few questions, immediately go like, oh, no, you know what? I don't really have time for that. I don't want to get personal. I don't want to give you my information because you're asked. I have a few questions for you. Sounds like an interrogation. It sounds like you're putting them on the spot. I need to get a little more information from you so I can do my homework. Now I'm telling them I'm going to work on you. I'm going to give you a time and attention and focus, and I'm going to be doing some homework so that when we meet, I know how the best way is to help you. I know what the best way is to help you. So I need to get a little more information from you so I can do my homework. It does not create resistance. Okay. So make sure you say it that way. And then you ask all the pre-qualifying questions, and you ask all of them. Although some of you, when you get the Book of Yes and you look at them, you're going to go like, do I have to ask them that question? Yes. Because if you don't, you're going to get blindsided. You think you're protecting yourself when the reality is you're exposing yourself by not asking the questions, because you're going to go in and get blindsided by an objection that you are afraid, well, I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to give them the idea. You're not giving them an idea. You're qualifying them. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? So whenever you get for gentlemen, when you get a prostate exam, and if you guys are over 40, you should have had a prostate exam. If you haven't, you should go get one. It's not fun, but you should get one. When you get a prostate exam, it is not pleasant. Now, whenever the doctor says we need to check your prostate, they are not giving you an idea. They're not they're not hoping you have prostate cancer or issues. Okay? I know it's kind of graphic and kind of a little maybe nasty, but I'm making a point here that you have to go in and you got to ask the right questions so you know what the reality is of their situation as a seller, so that you know what you're going into. And if there's going to be an objection, I want to know about it before I show up so I can prepare to handle that objection. Okay? There you go. So that's it for today. With that happy note, I'm going to kick you guys out of here. This is how you start the listing presentation, guys. You start it before you actually show up at their house. You start in the pre-qualifying conversations. It's where they're now identifying, they're interviewing you. They're checking you out. They're deciding, do I trust this person? Does this person sound competent? They're already making their assessment of you, and you're making your assessment of their situation to see if you can help them. That is the beginning of the listing presentation. Now, when I go back to the guy that went on 14 listing presentations, only got 5, he probably half of those listing appointments, he probably shouldn't even have gone on because they weren't motivated. They weren't qualified. And so he went on 14 instead of 7 to get 5 listings. Now, some people say, well, those extra 7 appointments that he was wasting his time on, wasn't that good practice? What? You're going to practice not getting listings? Wrong strategy. That's an amateur strategy. It's what amateur coaches teach you, is go on a listing appointment for the practice. You never practice missing. I would rather you role play with another person getting a listing than sitting with a real homeowner who ain't moving and trying to convince them to sell, because then all your brain does is gets programmed for not getting listings. Your brain, your subconscious is programmed that when I do a CMA, I do all this work, I drive over to somebody's house, I go to meet with them, and this is the pattern. I sit down with them and we go through all kind of objections and stuff because they're not interested, they're not really motivated. And I now try to convince them. And oh, it's hard because I can't get them to say yes. And then you leave without a listing. You're like, well, I guess that was good practice. No, it was horrible practice. You were practicing missing. It's like, how many times does the coach call the team in for basketball practice and say, okay, so today we're going to work on missing free throws, because you're going to miss some. So we might as well, but it's good practice. You never practice missing. Okay. I've given you way more than I was going to give you today. Hope that helps. If it helps, can I see some thumbs up? Can I see some thumbs up? Can I see some yes? You guys have an awesome day. Play to win. Always expect yes. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another special episode of Kevin at 7. It will be Wednesday. And we'll be going to talk about winning tomorrow. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the thumbs up. Yep.